It was Christmas Eve, and Sarah was home alone, waiting for her parents to return from a late-night shopping trip. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of Christmas carols on the radio. Snow fell softly outside, blanketing the streets in an eerie stillness. As she sipped her hot cocoa by the tree, she noticed something odd. The Christmas lights flickered. She brushed it off as a faulty bulb and continued scrolling through her phone. Then came a soft knock at the door. Startled, Sarah hesitated. It was almost midnight, and she wasn't expecting anyone. Peering through the peephole, she saw a man in a Santa suit standing on the porch. "Ho, ho, ho," he said cheerfully. "I'm here to spread some Christmas joy." But something was off. His smile didn't reach his eyes, and his suit looked worn and dirty. Sarah didn't open the door. Instead, she called out, "I think you have the wrong house." The man's smile faded. "Are you sure? I have a gift just for you." He held up a small, wrapped box. Terrified, Sarah backed away and called her parents, but the call wouldn't go through. When she looked back at the door, the man was gone, but the box was on the porch. Summoning her courage, she opened the door and grabbed the box, slamming the door shut behind her. Inside was a note. "You should have let me in." The power went out, plunging the house into darkness. Sarah grabbed a flashlight and hid in her room. Hours later, her parents found her trembling in the closet. They never saw the man, but Sarah swore she heard faint jingling bells outside her window that night. Lila loved decorating her Christmas tree with her grandmother's old ornaments. Each one held a memory, and she cherished the tradition. That year, she found a new ornament in the box, one she didn't recognize. It was a small, delicate glass ball with a swirling red pattern inside. It looked beautiful, but something about it felt wrong. Shrugging off her unease, Lila hung it on the tree. That night, strange things began to happen. The tree lights flickered, and ornaments fell off the branches as if pushed by an unseen hand. Lila woke in the middle of the night to the sound of faint whispers. She followed the noise to the living room, where she found the red ornament glowing softly. As she approached, the whispers grew louder, and she saw her reflection in the glass, except it wasn't her. The reflection smiled, but Lila wasn't smiling. It mouthed words she couldn't hear, and then the ornament shattered, sending shards flying across the room. The next morning, Lila threw the broken pieces away, but the whispers didn't stop. Every night she heard them, growing louder and more insistent. By Christmas Day, the whispers had turned into screams. Lila fled the house, leaving the tree and the cursed ornament behind. In a small town, it was tradition to build snowmen on Christmas Eve. This year, Jack and his friends decided to make the biggest one yet. They worked for hours, stacking snow into a towering figure. Jack added coal for eyes, a carrot for the nose, and an old scarf around its neck. It looked almost lifelike. As the sun set, the group headed home, but Jack stayed behind to admire their work. That's when he noticed something strange. The snowman's head seemed to have turned slightly, as if it were watching him. Jack laughed nervously and brushed it off as his imagination. But as he walked home, he couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. He glanced back and saw nothing but snow-covered streets. That night, Jack woke to a soft crunching sound outside his window. Pulling back the curtain, he froze. The snowman was in his yard, its coal eyes staring up at him. Panicked, Jack locked all the doors and tried to convince himself it was a prank. But the crunching sound continued, moving closer. The next morning, Jack's parents found his bed empty. His footprints led out into the yard, but there were no signs of him, just the snowman, now smiling wider, with Jack's scarf around its neck.